why the Force sucks now. Like originally the
Wait,
Force was
Ezra.
like this kind of like hard thing to use, and like
Hmm.
I actually kind of drew my own conclusion from it, and like I kind of see why people hate Disney, and like it's kind of interesting because this is what Dave Filoni actually did with the original um Clone Wars series,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
cartoon series. Essentially they introduced the character Ahsoka, right? And that
Ah,
character
suck.
was like a teenager, kind of angsty, and like people didn't like her, right? Um,
Hmm.
well, over the course of the 7 seasons, she grew and she actually changed into a likable character, right? And that I think that was like lightning for Dave Filoni because that actually I don't know if he planned that from the beginning. I don't think so.
Hmm.
He might say that he did now, but I don't. I know that the character would have to evolve in some way, but I don't necessarily know that
Hmm.
that's how it wanted to evolve. But it seems like right now what we're looking at with the entire extended Star Wars universe, the part that's been after since the prequels and the original trilogy.
So who are we again? What do we do here?
Hello
No,
and welcome to the Vertical Bar Podcast. I'm your co-host, Your Name Here, joining you from Orlando, Florida, as we dive into the latest innovations, tech trends, and just talk about the tech industry at large. And I'm here with
and I'm Marcus, your other co-host. Together, we're on a mission to explore, share, and demystify the world of technology.
from our own company, Vertical Bar Media, to the wider tech universe. We're here to delve into all things digital. But enough about us. What's on the topic list for today, Marcus?
Well, and this week we've got the Windows Phone gets revenge on YouTube and Google. It's back from the grave by helping users bypass ad blocker blockers. What?
Man, how does Windows Phone keep continuing to do it?
I know, right? Every time Windows Mobile or Windows Phone gets reinvented or goes underneath, it just somehow comes back. So that's
And
fucking.
then we also got
That is just.
Epic launches a new program to incentivize devs to bring old games back to the Epic Games Store. And it looks like you wrote that twice on the topic line.
Oh man, I really, really fucked this document up. I wish you guys could see this shit. Maybe we'll post it on some sort of social media platform later. But yeah, I totally rushed this and didn't. I think I took out the segues too. Oh no, they're still in there. Awesome.
No,
And then
I
for our
took the
third top.
segues out on my document.
Oh,
I don't know if it's saved
okay,
over
cool.
yours.
Yeah, so okay, cool. So it looks like for our third topic it was supposed to be about Amazon and Microsoft signing a $1 billion mega deal, but we decided to
That's
take
actually
that
so
out.
cool.
I know it is cool, but maybe we can talk about it next week or if we have some time afterwards. But we are instead going to talk about this book that was released about some of the juiciest tidbits from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It mostly goes over some of the dramatic stories from phase one and phase two. So we'll sort of get into some of the interesting facts and whatever the fuck it says about the Marvel films. So yeah, that's number three.
Awesome. And without forgetting, thank our AI overlords for scripting this intro. Let's dive in. What's going on with the Windows Phone there?
Yeah, so it looks like Windows Phone. Oh my God, I miss Windows Phone so much. Okay, so let me give you some history on this. So Windows Mobile used to be this operating system for PDAs and smartphones back in the day before the iPhone released, and it was Windows Mobile 5. And then of course, when smartphones became not just business products but consumer products as well, it was reinvented into Windows Phone, which simultaneously released, I believe, around the time of Windows 7. And then obviously Microsoft
Mhm.
used the Windows Phone UI and combined it with Windows desktop version. And then I think Windows Phone 8 came out. And then when Windows Phone 10 came out, Microsoft re-released it as Windows Mobile 10 devices or some shit like that. But basically, it was Microsoft's version of the consumer-based smartphone to rival Android and iOS, and unfortunately didn't have much developer support. Sales tanked, and the operating system was discontinued. I don't remember the year it was
Well,
discontinued, but it
you want to
was
know what the largest nail in the coffin for Windows Phone was?
what?
Google.
Yeah, Android. It
Absolutely.
really was Android. Android came
Well,
out of
no, it
nowhere.
was specifically Google having Android backing, but refusing to allow Gmail and YouTube on Windows Phone.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
You could
Because
do it
app
on
stores,
iPhone. because
Yeah,
they knew that they couldn't compete with iPhone, but Windows Phone came out and Google was just like, nope. They weren't going to
damn.
develop any first party apps for them, anything that was pretty much like community made at that point to
I
access
did not know
Gmail. And
that.
so like that's why nothing else got developed for it. Despite
Yeah,
Windows
dude.
mobile platform actually being like the easiest thing to port to, right? So like if you're
Yeah, the
developing
UI was
software if
super
for
simple.
Android or for Apple, you could just port it directly over to Windows to the Windows mobile platform or the
Hmm.
well, there was
I
a
remember that.
specific, it's like UWP or something.
It's
Universal
UWP, yeah.
Windows, yeah, Universal's Windows app, a Universal Window platform, and like
Yes.
that was just like easy to do. It could have been done like this for any one of those, but Google wasn't going to support it, so none of the banking apps, none of the like the social medias obviously did a little bit for what they could, but
Yeah, but it
who's going to
wasn't a very
spend time
popular
to
thing.
really any money for like 2% of the market share of
Yeah,
smart
no, it's
devices?
interesting. Mobile Windows devices tanked pretty quickly, and it really was, like you said, it really was Google not making their apps for the Windows phones, but it's just that for some reason Microsoft didn't have very much developer support for their apps. I think it's because people were used to Windows applications and apps not being so unified in design. I know you have a lot of third-party software that you could just I'm trying to think of how to describe it, but basically like how you download a .exe for Windows machines, and now they have like a
Yeah.
Windows store, but it's not like that third-party file. It comes directly from the Microsoft Store now. But like when Microsoft switched over to that, even for Windows 8 and Windows 10, not many people were making software for that specific type of a platform. I guess that was still UWP then too. And sorry if I'm getting a little bit spacey on this, but it just seems like people wanted Microsoft to remain open, and whenever they tried to unify their design for their software on their mobile app stores and their desktop stores, people just didn't want to think of Microsoft as that sort of company. Because that's what Apple does. Apple
Oh,
has their app
I think
stores.
the
Apple has their
yeah, I think the other store offerings were more mature than Windows Store offerings, right?
yeah,
But like who needed to have an app on their phone when they could use a web browser? And like that's kind of
right.
where the trend it has
And
actually gone. And a lot of these
hmm
apps now are just like basically GUIs to be able to access a web portal. Like
right.
they're not their own
They're not
apps anymore. Like
actual
nothing's
they're
running
not
locally on
actual
that device.
applications.
Like
Right,
yeah, they're
yeah.
all just kind of like web hosts now. It's
Yeah.
basically like a Chrome browser, but you can't browse
Right.
anything else except for the stuff that they want you to, which is great for the app. But on a computer,
Hmm.
like I'm just gonna install Chrome and just use Chrome to access my banking information or Facebook or Twitter or anything else because like I don't need separate apps for that. I have one app that I can just
Right, exactly.
open 1,000 of.
Right. No, and you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of I was going through the Windows Store during COVID, and I realized that a lot of the apps, especially the social media apps, looked exactly like the website. So I think
Yeah.
they're calling them progressive web apps, which is I'm
Yeah.
sorry, PWA. But it seems like a
Mhm.
lot of it seems like there there are replicas now instead of there actually being legitimate desktop software. Sorry, but I do want to go back to Windows Mobile and Windows Phone. Did you remember a service or a feature called Continuum? It was basically where
Yeah.
it was basically
I use that.
where Microsoft
It was
was the
basically like
first.
Dex, right?
It was basically like a desktop mode, so you could hook
Hmm.
your Windows mobile device into a external display, and then like Windows 10 would pop up, even though your
Hmm.
device only had like Windows Mobile 10 or a Windows Phone 8 or stuff like that. But yeah, so Microsoft was the first one to develop a true desktop mode for mobile devices. It wasn't Apple, it wasn't Google. So
You
I just
know,
wanted to bring that up.
here's what it comes down to. I know that we all want to have a phone in our pocket that is as powerful as a computer. But
Right.
man, I'm sitting right here in front of my nice computer, and
Oh,
like
shut up.
Well, it's just
Your
like, I have
beautiful,
a
godly, dreamy computer.
yes. Oh yeah, and it looks good too, right? All the monitors, all the real estate. I can't count how many pixels. I think it's like 10,000 by 4,000, which is like the
Good
overall
God.
resolution
Is
of
it
all
curved?
three of the screens. No, it's
Nice.
three screens next to each other. But
Okay,
anyway,
gotcha.
just enough bragging about my computer.
Hey,
Um,
hey, you bought it,
I
so
have
there's no
like
reason to show you ashamed of it. Mm,
I have three different apps here. All they're not apps. I have a browser. I have Word open. I have Teams open. I have actually two instances of Teams. And like I can have more software. I can have a ton of software opened up. I can actually be doing like AutoCAD, like engineering, designing, and I can be recording my desktop at the same time. And I have a nice keyboard and a nice mouse. And like that'd be cool if my
mhm.
phone I could just plug it in and like all this was the same, but it's not. Like
Hmm.
I
Right,
can't show you what my computer looks like, but I mean there's a 650-watt power supply in this thing going
right,
to a graphics card and a CPU and a water pump that's keeping it cool and all fans and radiators that it needs and all the connected devices to be able to plug in my
right,
1080p full frame camera with autofocus lens and the HDMI capture device. And then I got the 3D printer plugged into that, and that's with a cable that runs across the room. And like all I have to do is turn on the 3D printer and then I could start printing. Like my phone can't do
right.
that.
It can't do it
Like
yet, but soon, one of these
well,
days,
no,
it
it's
will be able to.
well,
Hopefully.
well, no, it wouldn't be able to because the
It
kind of
could.
trend towards technology is that this
Hmm.
my 3D printer would just be a device that it connects to the app network and my app sends information through it. It's not like my
Right.
computer is actually controlling that 3D printer because that's what
True.
the computer is actually doing. My phone wouldn't do that because this the problem that we have with phones is they're not powerful. Like I can't run a 3D printer off of a cell phone and like
Right.
expect to do anything else with it. Like I wouldn't be able to run a Teams call with it. I wouldn't be able to play a video game on it at the same time.
Hey, so
Like we'd have to have all these separate devices
Apple
anyway
has
at
the
that
M
point.
chips in the iPad. Apple put
Yeah.
their M2 chip in the iPad. So what if one day they can get the M chip in an iPhone? Then at that point, I mean, that is a desktop processor. It's ARM based, but it is a desktop capable processor, and it's going in a mobile devices. So it is possible that one day phones will have that kind of power in functionality.
I I would have to counter that argument that I don't have the
We'll
specifications
see.
with me, but just because Apple
We'll
calls it an
see.
M1 chip, it's not the same one that's going in their MacBooks as their phones or their. I mean, actually, I could see that going in their
So
iPads.
I do think that the M chip in the iPad is the exact same one. No, all right. So the iPhones I think have the A17 Bionic chip, but the iPads actually do have the M2 chip, and it's the same one that's found in the MacBook.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Yes,
I mean, for
which is
me and the
insane.
iPad, it would
The
come
things
down to
are
in
getting
terms of
smaller.
connectivity. Like essentially, you need
Hmm.
a USB-C dongle on it to have USB-A, and that needs to control the
For now.
printer, and then you have to have monitors, and like how does all that work? We'll see.
Hmm.
That would be cool, but
Yeah.
at that point, like once you start plugging in all this kind of stuff, it really does make more sense to just have a dedicated machine that does that.
Hey, so I do know we got a little bit off topic. I think the point the
Oh, we
point
got
of
way off
this,
topic there.
I know. So the point of this is that there's a way to, I guess, make your computer or your browser look like it's a Windows phone, and if you do
Yeah,
that
so
on your desktop,
essentially what the user agent is a
user agent.
setting. It's
There we
not
go.
really a setting, it's like a tag,
It's the
right?
developer
So if I
option, right?
access, well, no, it's a tag that tells the server that I'm accessing what type of
Right.
device is accessing it, right? It needs to know it needs to know what kind of resolution that screen has and what kind of processing power it has to be able to determine
Gotcha.
how to send information to it, right? So
Cool.
essentially what happened is the Windows Phone user agent is probably very depreciated and used by literally absolutely no one except for
No
like
one at
maybe
all.
one niche industry that like still has Windows phones
Me.
for some reason,
Dude,
right?
I was just recently looking up Windows phones, to see like what the best one to buy what the best one to buy still is. They're all old as shit, and I think the largest screen they had was like 5.92 inches. But I was
Oh
gonna get
no.
one just to be able to play around with it. So I actually might be that one person
Oh,
soon.
well, I'll just send you a Lumia 920.
Yeah, dude, I used to have a Lumia. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
which one it was, but it was a rectangle, and it was sharp, and it was cornered, and it was white, and it
yeah,
was beautiful. It was beautiful. But yeah,
yeah.
let's get back on topic. So you can
Nokia
change
makes
the
some nice
user
phones.
agent. You can you can change the user agent to basically reflect a Windows Phone user, and then I guess because they don't make security thingies for those anymore, then you can basically
Yeah, I
bypass
mean this
YouTube,
this is
YouTube's ad
probably
blocker.
patched already. This is probably already fixed, but
Oh, okay.
yeah,
It
essentially
was worth mentioning.
you were tricking YouTube into thinking that you're on an operating system that isn't supported by their ad blocker.
Cool. Yeah, dude, I remember the days when AdBlock Plus used to block YouTube ads, and then I guess Google got pretty sophisticated with their ad technology, and then it's like it's really hard to
Ugh.
be able to block those ads now. I mean, for me, it really is worth just paying the 14.99 per month. I don't know if they went up on the price with that. I do know a lot of streaming services have gone up in price, but YouTube is pretty essential, so it's on my list of things to actually have a premium subscription for. It's been around
Yeah,
for like
and they do
15
offer
years
they do
now.
offer like a family plan that has up to like
Yeah,
5 users. So if you have,
yeah.
five friends, maybe some family, close ties, whatever.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing. It's like,
You all can share, and you have separate Google accounts that access it, but you just pay one fee for all five.
yeah, yeah, it seems
I
smart
was
that
thinking about setting
a
that
lot
up
of
for
these
my
services
family because I know,
should.
if we put it on like a kid's device or something, we can set the
Hmm.
parental controls on it and monitor
Parental
all that
control.
kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Well, I'm glad Windows Phone came back to tell Google to fuck
To
off,
haunt,
and it's just good to
to
see them.
haunt Google
It's
for
good to
their
see them in the
dirty,
news
dirty
again.
deeds.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
it's funny because during COVID, I actually thought that Microsoft was sort of planning on relaunching Windows Phone Windows Mobile when Windows 11 came out, but I was wrong. They didn't. So
Well,
we st
this actually is kind of interesting for me because Google is
Mhm.
actually on a trial for antitrust, like literally
I
right
saw that.
now. That because we've been
Yes,
hearing about the leaks from like Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, and
the
saying how
CEO of
Google's
Microsoft.
yeah, saying how Google pays Apple like $15 billion a year or
I heard
something to
about
be
that,
their
which is a
primary
shitload
search
of money.
engine.
That's a shitload of
Yeah,
money.
and like even though Microsoft was willing to pay that much, they Apple wouldn't drop Google as their primary search provider.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like unfair market competition, which is which is kind of funny because if anybody knows anything about unfair market competition, it's definitely
Hmm.
Microsoft, who has
Definitely
been sued
Microsoft.
for super antitrust.
I think once you become a large tech company, I'm pretty sure it's required that you get sued for antitrust. It just seems like they're always in court for
Well, you can't.
basically being too big, and it's like, do they really do anything wrong, or are they just really
Well, no,
providing some
actually,
really good services
so
and
there's
products
there's
that
two
end up?
concepts at play
Hmm.
in everything, and it happens for every single tech company, right?
Hmm.
First, the
Right.
company is focused on the customer and the user experience, right?
And
Then
that money.
the
I'm
company,
joking.
no, well, they need to build the audience. That's the first step.
Right.
You need to build your audience, and in order to build
So
your audience,
everything's
you have to
free
pander
for a
to them.
long
You have to
time.
kiss their feet,
Right.
right? You have
Exactly.
to kiss their feet. You have to bow before them. You have to like do everything, bend over backwards to make sure that the
Right.
customer's good. Then once you have a solid user base, like for example, Uber, right? Once Uber
Hmm.
kind of got into a position, they would know that if you used Uber twice, you were
Hmm.
essentially locked into using Uber for the rest of your life until
Right.
like other companies came around just because of how convenient it was, right? It's
Right.
complete industry disruptor in that manner. And like that data showed them that once they had you twice, you were done. Like you were a customer for life essentially.
It
And then so
was.
after that, the company moves to a phase of where they focus on the partnerships, right? So first they
Mhm.
were focusing on the customers, now they're going to focus on how they can build their partnerships, how they can build the brand, how they can reach farther and go further. And then the last phase of company is always just about shareholder revenue, about getting money
Mm.
for the shareholders at all expense. Um, because yeah, money, 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 number go up.
Yeah, number go up. Fuck. Yeah, that's crazy. And it's funny because like, and it's funny each time I think of Lyft and Uber, I always think about all those times where they basically test drove all of those automated vehicles over in California, but that was like 10 years ago, and they've just been sitting with all of that data for so long, and I don't like where's that data gone to? So basically, what I used to read on The Verge is in California, Lyft and Uber basically like they had this service where like their drivers basically were in automated cars, and as long as there was a driver in the driver's seat, then they could basically test these products and these services, but the driver wasn't required to touch the wheel the entire time. So they were collecting data for automation for all this time, and um it just seems like they haven't done anything with that stuff yet. So I don't know. It's just worth mentioning. I don't know what's going to
Yeah,
become of
no, I
it,
mean
but
that's a whole can of worms, dude. Like
yeah. No,
self-driving
people were
stuff
pissed
is
about that.
just a deep.
People were really pissed about that. There were
Oh yeah,
a couple of
I'm pissed about
accidents
that.
that happened. Why
Yeah,
would you be pissed about that?
there's
I'm
there's
excited
a.
for it.
Oh, let's move on to the next topic.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right. We'll cover that in a next one, but I will say statistically speaking, machines do make less mistakes than humans. So that's
Oh
why
no,
I trust them. So it
100%.
does lead to
And
less
like the
accidents.
I kind of look at this from the aviation perspective too. Like everybody can, almost anybody can get a driver's license. Like there's only a
Right.
few disabilities that can bar you from not being able to get a driver's license. And even then, like you kind of just have to be like completely blind almost to
Right.
not drive. Like in Florida, like you can be 95 and like poor eyesight and terrible reaction time, and you can still get a driver's license. But as for
Well,
like a pilot,
freedom for all.
generally where you're, or like when you're talking about commercial drivers or like bus drivers, for like you start
Hmm.
getting up into train engineers, and then up into pilots that are operating commercial airplanes, right? At what level do we actually engage where, okay, full automation is acceptable, right? And
Don't do nothing.
essentially
I'm joking.
essentially what's going to happen, what we're going to see, is the first thing that needs to happen is they need to remove the windows from an airplane. The pilots need to be in the airplane, but they're just looking at computer sensors from in the airplane.
Hmm.
Once that's successful and accepted and normal, they'll take the pilots out of the airplane, and then we'll have self-driving everything.
Is that happening now?
No.
Okay.
There's no country in the world that is willing to allow like a single pilot commercial plane operation. That's like not under 10
That's very
passengers or something.
straightforward. That
Like
was funny.
any
That was
large
funny.
mass transit, no. The that's like that's the first step, and the first step that's going to happen there is they're going to take the windows out of commercial cargo airliners.
Hmm.
Like, just remove the front windows. Don't put a front window in it. And as soon as that happens to airplanes,
So
then we'll see full scale automation for nearly everything else.
that's going to be for companies like UPS and Amazon and places that
Yeah.
basically ship and
Yeah, because
fly
like
large amounts of
right now,
merchandise.
kind of where the industry is for drones, like everything up to about
Hmm.
55 pounds, you can kind of just like go figure out in a business. Like I can go
Yeah.
buy the parts, I can start operating it, I can get the licenses, I can conduct waivers and like kind of do the safety things to be able to operate it. But
Hmm.
between 55 pounds and like everything else, there's a whole mess of hurdles that you have to be able to do. So like any kind of air taxi, any kind of like automated package delivery system that's over 55 pounds, and that's
Hmm.
including the package that's on the aircraft that's required to lift it, right? So like it's not a lot. Like I've operated 35-pound drones that have essentially a 10-pound payload. Um,
Cool.
because they can only have like a couple extra pounds for their batteries to operate and the packages that they carry.
All right, that's enough about drones and all this other shit that we've been talking about. Even
Yeah,
though
so
that
that's
was some good
automation for
insight
you,
and
but
some
let's
really good commentary. Yeah, no, of course, no. So let's move on to topic number two. I'll let you take it.
Yeah, so we got Epic Games launching a plan to incentivize devs, and this comes on the heels of
Don't say it.
what's the other company?
Don't
Unity.
say Unity. God damn it! I knew you were going to talk about Unity.
Yeah, so this comes on the Unity scandal debacle that has their CEO leaving. Debacle. But this is actually kind of an interesting take. So
Mhm,
I know that Steam also kind of offers a little bit of like a reduced revenue stream, a reduced revenue split in
mhm.
terms of the developer, to be able to bring older games back to that store. And so I think it's kind of interesting because I don't know if you spend much time in the game stores, but there's like
I used
basically
to,
only
and I will
three.
soon. Yes.
Yeah, so there's basically only like three right now. There's the Epic, Steam, and GOG. Those are the big rock stars right now. And then there's a couple others that are
Okay.
just like trying to keep up. Ubisoft's one, I think it's Uplay. And then Blizzard
What
has
about
one.
Blizzard and
But
Activision? I was gonna ask because Microsoft has bought them out. So like, does
well,
Microsoft
yeah,
now
so
have like a big
that's
gaming store as well, or?
yeah, we need a 6 hour podcast to talk about all this stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. All
But
right.
yeah,
We
just
only got what,
focusing on
like 20 minutes
Epic,
left?
like
Exactly. Cool.
yeah, so Epic, they're doing some interesting stuff, and I'm really interested in seeing what they can bring back um to this. But this is what's wrong with movies and TV, right? On
Oh
Epic's
Lord.
game
No,
store,
I'm joking.
I can buy Cyberpunk maybe, right? But on Steam,
Mhm.
I could also buy Cyberpunk, or on GOG, I could buy Cyberpunk, and I could play it through that, and I could have that content through that launcher. Like, why can't the TV and movies be like that?
So basically, how like you can find different games on different stores. You basically want to be able to find like Netflix shows on
No, I can
HBO
find the
and vice
same.
versa.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think that I kind of agree here with what Microsoft is saying about all of Xbox
Hmm.
games. They want their studios games to be multi-platform, and available on different. You should be able to buy and play it on a PlayStation, right? But
Right,
like,
right.
man, the content delivery systems like Amazon, like Prime and Netflix and
Yeah.
Disney, they're just like, yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
from what I've
They,
heard,
I feel like they're kind of getting smaller and more niche, right? Like
yeah, yeah, no, of course, you're right.
if you love anime and you love like what's the other horror, then you get
You-
Netflix, right?
I'm not a horror fan
If
at
you
all.
have children, you have to have a Disney
Hmm.
Plus account.
Right.
If you like free form content, you get a YouTube premium subscription, or you know.
What about Facebook Watch?
Yeah, do we have
I
any
was
videos
joking.
up there yet? Do we got any
Yeah,
views
I know.
yet?
Oh fuck no. No, it's actually my highest priority right now. I did download a couple of videos. I just haven't uploaded them yet. But I do have
All
some
right,
downloaded.
I believe
I
you.
think
I'll believe you.
I have the last couple of episodes downloaded, and I also have the real estate video downloaded, but they have not been uploaded just yet though. But I'm in the
All
process of
right.
doing it. Yes. So maybe we'll
So what do
be
you think
like
about
the
Epic Games plan here? Essentially, it's going to be 100% revenue boost for the first 6 months, and then they'll
mhm.
go back to the 88-12 revenue split, which, considering that both Apple Store and Steam take 30%, um, that's kind of interesting. What do you
So
think?
what else does Epic have other than Fortnite? I don't like what else they have.
Do they need anything else?
Okay, so basically Epic Games is basically just a Fortnite store.
No.
I mean, I know they have other stuff, but like I'm trying to remember some of the bigger titles and excuse me if I've been checked out of gaming for the past couple of years, but yeah, no,
Oh,
I guess before I give my opinion, I need to know. I probably should have researched
well,
this
I
a little
went
bit
to
more, but
epicgames.com, and the two things on their page were Unreal Engine and Fortnite.
oh, they have
Rocket
Unreal Engine.
League,
Okay, that's pretty big.
Unreal Tournament. I haven't played an
Unreal
Unreal
Tournament.
Tournament in a long time.
I was gonna ask, is that a new version or is that the same one that's been out for quite some time? Mm.
I don't know. Click the explore button. See where we're at. Pre-alpha season. What does that even mean?
There's so many. It's funny. It's almost like when you go through the like Amazon Luna store or the Facebook gaming store. There's all these like bullshit games that like it's a nice store, but like there's not much to choose from. It's mostly just stuff that's like made for kids. So I didn't know if Epic Games was sort of like that too, or if they had like legitimate titles that people could have fun on. I know Fortnite isn't just for kids, and that's a pretty it's a pretty diverse game. But yeah, I'm not really familiar with them that much, so I don't have much commentary. But Fortnite's cool.
Dude, I might have to check out this Unreal tournament. This looks cool.
Cool.
Have you ever played Unreal?
No, I
Like the old school
haven't.
ones?
No, I
Dude, the
remember it
original
being a
Unreal
big thing
tournament
back in the
for
day.
PC was kind of like a game changer. It was,
Oh yeah.
I want to say it was probably one of the first like real multiplayer kind of games. I know Quake had some multiplayer aspect to it, but Unreal Tournament, because Unreal was a game and then Unreal Tournament was released and it was just like the multiplayer part. Um, and like I remember I used to play that at LANs all the time. You could mod
Hell
that.
yeah.
The weapons were
Hell
great.
yeah.
They were like they had laser rifles and like shotguns and rocket launchers and like all of it,
Fuck
chain guns. And I'm just watching the like gameplay footage on their website right now, and it looks good.
yeah. So I do want to
I might
comment. It looks
actually have
like
to put
Epic
Epic
Game.
back on my computer.
Well, not just
I
yet. It
don't think I
looks
have an
like
Epic launcher.
hey, it looks like this announcement came 3 weeks after the company shed 830 employees, about 16% of its workforce. So maybe you
Yeah.
shouldn't support them anymore. I'm joking. I do know companies have to lay off employees, so I don't know. I don't really know what the reason is for
No,
this one,
I
but
do
it
hate that.
seems
I do hate that companies just use employees as like a term of collateral, right? Like they
you know.
can't offload
I
their
think we discussed
IPs.
that
Oh
on the
no,
last
those too
episode. Yeah.
precious. Let's just like end 500 families' lives and like make them do something else.
Good God.
Oh God, I
Yeah,
can't give up my beach house. No way. Like
I
get rid of those
know.
guys.
Oh my God.
Um,
We should talk about PlayStation and some of the things that Sony has going on for the next one. I think what didn't Spider-Man 2 come out this week or something like that?
Ooh,
I
yeah,
don't
that
know.
looks
We'll
good.
talk about it
I
next
hear
time.
people are calling that like the litmus test for graphics on the PlayStation 5. Really
Those
pushing the
games
limits there
always
for
do
that.
well. Those games always do well. Those
Well,
Spider-Man games. Every
it's an
time.
exclusive Sony title. Like it
Hell
has to
yeah.
be the best. Like
That
Sony has put
goddamn
so
Spider-Man.
much money into that. Like they're
Hell
putting
yeah.
so much money.
So I guess for oh, okay. So yeah, I guess that's it for Epic. Thanks, Epic, for supporting the developer communities. Um, so let's go on to our third topic. I don't know if you're gonna have much about well, no. So you watch the Marvel films, right? Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, I've watched some.
I thought so. Yeah, because I think we mostly talked about TV last time. So I guess our third topic is going to be about the MCU, the lovely MCU that was
Oh
good and
yeah,
now
let's
it
hear
sucks
about some
apparently, but I still think it's good. But yeah.
uh You know, I was watching some stuff on why Disney stuff is terrible now too. And like, yeah, it's
I
really
think we talked about
terrible.
that last week
Like,
just a little bit, but yeah, no, it
well, yeah,
seems
no, the
like
video that I watched recently was like
oh, okay, cool, awesome.
why the Force sucks now. Like originally the
With
Force was
Ezra.
like this kind of like hard thing to use and like
Hmm.
I actually kind of drew this on my own conclusion from it and like I kind of see why people hate Disney and like it's kind of interesting because this is what Dave Filoni actually did with the original um Clone Wars series,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
cartoon series. Essentially they introduced the character Ahsoka, right? And that character
Asuka.
was like a teenager, kind of angsty, and like people didn't like her, right? Um,
Hmm.
well, over the course of the 7 seasons, she grew and she actually changed into a likable character, right? And that I think that was like lightning for Dave Filoni because that actually I don't know if he planned that from the beginning. I don't think so.
Hmm.
He might say that he did now, but I don't. I know that the character would have to evolve in some way, but I don't necessarily know that
Hmm.
that's how it wanted to evolve. But it seems like right now what we're looking at with the entire extended Star Wars universe, the part that's been after since the prequels and the original trilogy, um, all of that is just like kids in the Force, right?
Right.
Because
Hmm.
before we had Darth Vader and Palpatine, right? They were just
Right.
experts for Force users, masters, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, absolute master of the Force, comes back to
Yeah.
life after being killed by Vader, right? But that took his literally entire life of training.
Right.
Then we see with the prequels, we actually saw what it would have been like to have tons of master Jedis, right? Fighting droids
Right.
and like destroying stuff
That
and,
was the best
spy
period for me, was
espionage.
the
And
damn
I love that
prequels.
part. That those,
Yeah.
I mean, there's still nothing better than Duel of Fates with John Williams orchestrating over Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan
Yeah. That
fighting.
was
Like
fucking
that's
awesome.
just
Exactly.
epic battle, right? And
Right.
that's kind of that's what we saw with the original, and now we just have a bunch of kids using the Force. Like
Right.
people, and it's not even that they're kids, it's that they're like super powered kids, right? Like
Yeah.
they can throw people across buildings. They like within a day they know how to like force jump like over a building or something like this. And like we see from the original trilogy that like Luke had to actually go through training to to just move a rock, and then even then he failed at doing that. And like all these kids
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, look at this, what I can do. I can survive
Yeah.
getting stabbed with a lightsaber.
Yeah. Well, it's like, but
Okay, rant
I
over.
don't
I'm
want them
sorry, I'm not going to say anything
I
more
don't want
about
them to
that.
keep I don't want them to keep redoing the same story and over, though. I don't want them to essentially only have it to where Force users only have limited abilities. Like once you play the games, once you read the books, once you get into some of the extended universe, you see that like these Jedi have a lot of powers, and I think and
Well, I
a,
think that's
a lot
because
of
that they
abilities. I mean,
had
they're
like
essentially
decades
ninjas
of
with fucking
training.
magic.
Like look at what the Jedi Academy was. Like that was literally an institute of like thousands of Jedi. Like that was the
Right.
Harvard of
That's a
Jedi
fair point.
academies, right?
Right. Hmm.
And like that doesn't exist in the new universe, but these new
It's
Force
gonna take
users
too
are
much
able to
time
go
to build back
above
up to
and
that stuff.
beyond. Well, no, but the new Force users are able to go above and beyond what the masters of Harvard. It would be like, hey, look, we have a bunch of elementary kids school and like they're doing calculus.
Hmm.
Like that's what I feel like the Star Wars is now. It's just like it's children doing like trigonometry and calculus.
Yeah,
Makes
no,
me
and
feel old and bad. And
it's
like maybe it
interesting
makes the new
because
kids feel good, but like
maybe they need their stories told too, you know. They need, and it's just like I think it's almost like they kind of wrote themselves into a hole because you are right. There isn't as much of the training involved. Um, it would be hard to sort of redo the same story over and over, and you definitely have to tweak it a little bit. But I think the best possible time in Star Wars so far has been the prequels. I liked when there's an army of Jedi. I liked
Mhm.
when they were in Coruscant or on Coruscant, and I like the Jedi Temple. I like when there's like knights and all of this. I I I liked that setting, and I feel like it's going to take
Yeah,
them too
that
long.
that like fantasy kind of element. I think that
Yes, I
the new
like
Star
that
Wars has
part of
just
Star
run out their
Wars.
course on like Tatooine. Like how
They
many
need to
more
they
stories
need
can
to
they
go
film in Mos
back.
Eisley?
They need to go back to where there's a period where there's a large group of Jedi training, and they have a
No,
temple and they
no.
have all
They need
that
to go
stuff.
back. No, they
They need
need
to
to go back to the Knights of the Old Republic. That's what
That's
they need to
okay. So
do.
that's what I'm talking about. I think they should also focus on that too. And it's like they
Like
know they need to
Darth
focus on
Malik,
it, but for
right?
some
Like
reason they keep
okay,
waiting.
okay, I get that like you can build a space laser, Darth Vader and Palpatine, like that space laser's cool. But are you
It's
Darth
nice.
Malik? Can you eat a planet?
Can you
No.
eat a planet?
Get
Exactly.
out of here.
All right. So this
It's,
isn't a Star Wars topic. This is the Marvel topic. So you have to talk about Marvel just a little bit. Hey, did you see
it's
anything?
Disney. It's all the same.
Yeah, it is Disney. No, you're right. So this book is
That's the
called
problem.
The Reign of Marvel Studios MCU. It's by Joanna Robinson, Dave Gonzalez, and Gavin Edwards. I've never heard of them before, but I appreciate them for writing this book. So essentially, what this book is about is just cover. It's not a scoop book, but it's the most dramatic stories from Phase 1 and Phase 2 It basically covers some of the largest stories. There's some interesting tidbits in here. Um, it looks like, oh God. So I'm trying to choose a couple of these. It looks like the main. Okay, so you remember Iron Man 1 and how the Mandarin was sort of in the movie, but not really. I know it showed the Ten Rings, but it never really showed the Mandarin. And then in Iron Man 3, Trevor Slattery showed up as the fake Mandarin, and then the Mandarin finally showed up in Shang-Chi. Fuck yeah. But it looks like in the first Iron Man movie, the Mandarin was supposed to be the big villain in the third act, but it was cut after X-Men 3 and Spider-Man 3 were criticized for having too many villains. Do you have a opinion on that? I know I kind of rambled that, but yeah.
Yeah,
Did you watch Iron
so
Man 1?
yeah,
Sorry.
I just went back to watch some of the Marvel movies, and one of the things like that I went back on is they the Marvels don't have a lot of content for like younger kids. Like I tried to watch
Hmm.
Iron Man. I know it's rated PG-13, whatever, but
Yeah.
I'll try to watch kid movies with my kids, and like it's kind of interesting at like how well some movies capture children, like watching
Hmm.
Cars or something like this. Like he'll just be enamored by it, but like you put Tony Stark and like Downey Jr. on the screen, it's not as
Right.
interesting. It's just kind of, yeah, like, that's kind of interesting to me. And like I was trying to find something that we could watch, and it's just like it's all just like character drama stuff. Like there's just not a
Yeah.
whole lot of like comic book cool stuff.
Right.
Like, okay,
I think for
yeah, the
stuff like that,
snap,
you have to
right?
go back
Okay,
and
that was
watch like the Tobey Maguire
movie,
movies.
one fucking movie,
Right.
and they had three movies to lead up to that one movie of like, boom, right? And we talked about the trilogy of Star Wars earlier, like
Right.
Darth Vader and Luke fight in the first episode.
Wait, what happened?
And the
I'm sorry.
first, seventh,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't even know.
I'm sorry to go super ditzy. Yeah, so Darth Vader and Luke fight in the fifth
In the
episode
first, in the
what?
first, right?
Okay, so you mean A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back?
I can't remember. I'm getting foggy
Okay,
too.
I was just trying to clarify. It's okay. Hey, it's been a long time. No, so no, you're definitely right though. It looks like all of the kidding and comic book moments mostly happened before the MCU during like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. Those were all a little bit more family and kid focused. I do see
Yeah.
what you mean when you
I
say that like
actually, yeah,
kids
I might
don't.
watch Spider-Man with them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they have
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 that were out. It looks like
Yeah.
in
Well, the
Spider-Man
first one with
4,
Tobey Maguire. That's the only real
yeah,
Spider-Man.
oh yeah, I didn't like the ones with Andrew Garfield. And did you ever watch the newest Spider-Man one where like all of them came back? I think it was No Way Home.
Yeah. Yeah, No
That
Way
one
Home.
made uh that one made $1.8 billion. That was actually, I believe that's one of the highest grossing films ever. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
It was
Marvel
okay.
learned something from that.
It
'Cause
had Doctor
that
Strange
was,
in it, and I fucking love Doctor Strange. So
yeah,
that's
but
why I liked it. But
Doctor Strange was,
it,
what was that? Multiverse of Madness? That wasn't very good.
that was awesome. You didn't like that?
No.
Oh, you're crazy. Okay, so the ending was
Yeah.
kind of weird when like the dead version of Doctor Strange came back. I don't know what his name was, but when he came back to like beat the final villain, that was kind of weird. But I love Scarlet Witch in that. I love Elizabeth Olsen's portrayal of Scarlet Witch, and um, I liked all of the sorcery.
What?
It was
Come on, come on.
what?
The Scarlet Witch had found the power to go to any universe that she could have gone to. She could have
Yeah.
found a universe where she was dead and her children were fine.
Okay, well, maybe that's the case. I haven't thought about
That
that,
movie did
but
not need to
I
happen at
liked
all.
the
She
movie.
went
It was
crazy for
nice and
no reason.
vibrant.
Like she,
I like She went crazy because she was being taken over by some other. Okay, I can't really get into the details right now, but I like Multiverse of Madness. I believe the original director for that didn't. He had some
wasn't that
creative
originally supposed to be
difference.
directed by James Gunn?
No, it was supposed to be directed by the original director that directed Doctor Strange 1, but I believe due to creative differences, he left before they started filming. So the second Doctor Strange movie
Yeah.
actually has a different director than the first one. I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, dude,
So
that
that's actually kind of interesting with one of the things that's happening with Marvel Studios now is
yeah,
that they're not I don't think they're firing all of their film executives. They're just like not giving them TV projects anymore or something like this. And they're starting to hire TV executives to start show running TV shows. Because what they've been
hmm
doing is just giving like directors $150 million, and the directors are like, this is what I'm gonna do. They think they're like Wes
right.
Anderson, like making art or something, right? But they're
hmm
like, you're making comic book adaptation movies. Like you literally have the source material. People just want to see the source material with like cool actors and like cool CGI. It doesn't need to be like all this extra character drama. I'm like, oh look, I'm Wonder Woman. I'm just gonna show up like in a film for 5 minutes and then leave. Just to show up. Like you're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna help at all. You're just gonna literally show up. Like
Hey, so I am sorry to cut you short, but we gotta end the episode. It's
yeah.
10:15 p.m.
Yeah, thanks for calling the time on that one, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Dan, you bastard.
All right, well, that's all we have time for today on Vertical Bar Podcast. As always, it's been a blast exploring technology with all of you.
Indeed, it has, Jared. And remember, if you want to learn more about the topics that we've discussed, check out the description with links to our social media profiles. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast for more tech adventures.
Absolutely, Marcus. And we'd love to hear from you. Reach out with your questions, ideas, or just say hi. We're on all social media platforms as Vertical Bar Media.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember the only constant in technology is change.
Nice.